Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of Cookiecast. Today's episode is another sit-down with Ed Dench. And today we talked about some podcasting stuff, some games console stuff, and then this is part one. The back end of part one gets a little bit technical, so we start talking about coding and writing code and the trials and tribulations of writing code. So I will warn you, it does get a little bit technical, but it's also quite interesting, or at least I certainly think it's quite interesting. So tune into this part of this episode for that, and then there'll be a second part of my sit down, or my next sit down with Ed, coming up after this. So tune into that one as well. Right then, podcast time. Let's do this. Did I say that? I'm trying to make that my catchphrase.
I was going to say, I quite like it. It's an opening. It's podcast time. Let's do this. Simple but effective.
I'm going to get t-shirts. I'm going to get the logo either on the back, or I'm going to get like the logo on the front and then splashed across the back.
I can see it now. Podcast time. Let's do this. And once that's officially worn out, you can go with any work time. Let's do this.
Yeah, any of those.
Do you think you can coin "Let's do this"? Is that not like already taken up somewhere? I'm sure Nike did something about just do it, so maybe it's too close.
A little close.
Is this your version of Got Apples?
Got Apples. I'm just thinking it's maybe the new Got Apples. Yeah.
Hungry for apples? Got milk? Oh no.
It's just got milk, isn't it?
No, it is a completely separate question. They don't have a coinage on rhetorical questions. In fact, it should be nominated for an award.
Yes. Really? Yes. So, Edward Dench. Return of Edward Dench.
Round 2.
To the podcast.
I
have to break the bad news to you at some point. I've bumped your first podcast. I'm really sorry.
Yeah, I know. I'm doing a second. I haven't actually heard my first.
So, and what's going to make it worse is, like I say, I have bumped you because I got my order wrong and ended up coding somebody's before yours. Then went, oh no, I think it's Ed's next. But by the time I got that far, I'd numbered it as well. So I was like, damn it. So, you're going to have to wait a whole 3 more days than you would have normally done.
Have you hit a point where you're no longer just putting these out every week? You've just gone, you know what, I have to accept reality here. I've got about 72 hours of this. It's going to take me years to get them all out every other day.
Yeah. Good. Literally, I got to a point where I was like, if I release one a week, I've got 6 weeks worth. If I release one a week, I've got 11 weeks worth. Even if I release 2 a week, I've still got 5 weeks worth. I think I'll just start releasing 2.
I'd call that a success.
So far, I mean,
when you're struggling, I think you have to just take the microphone, sit in the middle of town in a cafe, and literally first stranger to walk past you and needs to see you, just go, please, have a seat. And talk to me.
Excuse me, would you like to have a conversation?
About life, love, and the meaning of the world. Go nuts.
So there we go. So, I've been blown away by the uptake of, not so much the viewers, more the people prepared.
The viewers are getting there. I mean, I think we're on 9 subscribers at this point. Admittedly, I think they are all of the podcasters themselves.
Yeah, I said to Leon last night that I need to at some point look at a way of pushing this a little bit further forward, because the people that listen to the podcast are the people on the podcast.
Well, if they can connect onto the Facebook side of it, and then you put that there, all you need them all to do is like it, so that all their friends will see that they liked it. And
go back to Rob and see if his daughter was serious about doing something when she said she had 4,000 Facebook people. It was like, what?
Before we jump into the 4,000, can we get a website working first?
Yeah, let's get that.
Let's do that first.
The website's there. It's just a 1-page one, and just directs people to the places where I already direct people to on the podcast. So the website. The website's fine. It'll be fine. It'll be all fine.
I'll show you what we've hashed together later, just for you to have a nosy at while you're here.
So I was going to talk about the podcast, the the podcasts that we do. The evolution of Edward on podcast subjects. Because I remember I had a conversation, I think it's on one of the first podcasts, about you coming on the podcast and how you'd be the perfect person for it.
You and Paul.
I think me and Paul had a conversation about it, and we were both like, "Oh, Ed's totally going to be all over it. Yeah, it's going to be brilliant." And then I said to you, "Hey Ed, you going to come and do the podcast?" You were like, "Nah,
maybe, I don't know.
I'll do it from my house remotely."
Oh yeah, I'm still up for that plan. You know, I'll just record it and send it over to you. Just send me a question. I'll talk for an hour about that question.
Send something once a week, and we'll just upload that. And then. I don't know if you mulled that idea or what, and then you did the podcast, and then since then it's been like almost every time I see you, you've got a new idea for me, and those ideas are becoming a thing.
I'm always open to the plans. I like to make any option I can orientate around my personal space. Big fan of that. If I can do it in my own home, I can't think of a better place to do it. I don't mind going off. I like anywhere where I can escape. So, own home. I've already escaped. It's okay. But yeah, I'm more than happy to do these things. It's been... And I've enjoyed listening to them, I think, sort of encouraging as well.
Other than Thomas Quinn, you are the other avid listener of the podcast, which I was enjoying.
I'll be honest, much to my guilt, I still need to listen to his. Quintessential. I love the title of it alone. Is just perfect.
I don't think I can. I don't think I can ruin it because I've actually named the next 3 podcasts. Yours is one of them, and I'm especially proud of yours because I told Leanne the name of her next one.
Insulting. I'm doing my second. I don't even know the name of my first.
Oh, I'm so proud of myself on that one.
I feel like
Paul won't be happy about his. I told Leanne the name.
Please tell me it's Wee Willie Williams. I really want that one.
Do you remember the cartoon Ed, Ed and Eddie?
Yes.
Yeah, bear that in mind when Paul's next one comes up. And Leanne, I told her hers, and I just got this blank expression back, and I was like, it's a Black Eyed Peas relation. And I'm like, I don't even know the Black Eyed Peas, and I'd listened to them, but I knew of this particular line, and the way that Leanne's referred to often on the podcast or in the podcast, I was like, I can make something work there. But I am particularly proud of what I've named yours. And maybe I shouldn't be. Maybe people are going to go, what? But hey.
Yeah, we'll find out.
So,
my next podcast, I foresee it now. You fucking asshole.
Yeah. How dare you? Paul sort of put this unofficial challenge because he said, well, you're going to really struggle to name all these podcasts if you keep going like this. And I went, sounds like a challenge to me.
No, so, I think each person gets their own titling. So I think it's the quintessential on movies for the next Quinn, and then it's the quintessential on whatever.
Leanne's special is called Leanne at the Movies. Another title that I feel I've probably stolen from somewhere, but I'm not 100% sure where. A lot of it's... I think if you call it a homage, then you're not stealing anything. So I've got a lot of homages going.
Yeah, there's a lot of tributes going on. Oh dear.
Yeah, so we'll see.
What's this week all about?
So this week, or today, whichever way you want.
I had a glimpse at your piece of paper, which made absolutely no sense.
It's all written in code. It's all written in code. So we had an idea Friday night. Friday night's going to feature heavily. So I hope you can remember.
Feels like you're promoting it.
We had an idea on Friday night, or Friday day, that never came off as much as we had hoped for, which was the idea of playing a board game.
Yeah.
And recording that. And this is an idea that you'd already come up with previously.
Yeah, so it's a group I watch on the YouTube. They did a video of them, just the 4 of them, playing Mousetrap together, and it's surprisingly funny. Good God, playing Mousetrap is agony, but watching other people play it was greatly entertaining, because the one thing you knew would happen, they started turning the wheel, what happened? It fucked up.
Yeah.
It didn't finish. Nobody got trapped. And it was just satisfying.
I think we had the idea more around sort of, I think it's like the fantasy role-play board games, and I sort of got really onto the idea, because James Keep and bought a board game on Friday.
Yeah, we just never managed to actually... He's had a go at it now, though.
He
knows how it plays. He says it's brilliant.
So is it Mansion of Madness?
Mansions of Madness.
Yeah.
It's an app-enabled... I'm still viewing it like Dungeons and Dragons. You are the players and the app is your dungeon master. It takes you through the story, but you lot dictate how that plays out, where you go, what you do, and then this app basically tries to screw you over. Throwing in new scenarios and changing the motivations of each character.
The fact that he said to me, I've played 2 games so far and I died on both of them. And it's like,
He's quite a keen strategy and that type of game. So the fact it's beaten both times kind of makes you wonder, what's he doing? Something
that I've very much enjoyed recently is he was sending me pictures of him unpacking the board, and I think he sent me a video of like all the stuff laid out, and I was
so many pieces.
Wow, that's a lot of kit.
Oh yeah, he's painted them now as well.
Well, this is it. He came back to me and was like, "Oh yeah, I'm really looking forward to painting them," and I was like, A, does it need painting, and B, is that something you do? And he was like, yeah, I'm into the Warhammer stuff. At which point he then proceeded to send me a series of pictures. And I looked at these pictures. They are fantastic.
He does a very good job of them. I think he takes it that level of serious. The primal layer, the base layer, then he puts the detail there, then he puts something else over to make them look grimy as opposed to just vibrant. He takes it very seriously.
Like the first one he sent me, I was like, that's
not
pretty
quite
cool.
Sam with the airbrush yet, but I think he won't be far off.
He sent me another one, and I was like, oh, that's really good. And then this last one I was looking at, and I was like, the different, like, you look at it's a colour, but the fact that it's like you say, it's something else that's put on to make it look darker in certain areas than others on the same colour, and I was proper blown away. And then 2 days later, he sent me a couple of pictures of all of the board game painted up, and I was like, "Wow, you've been busy." And they all look.
I don't think he sleeps sometimes. Him and Tim regularly do an achievement war, basically on Xbox,
monthly one,
and literally it's just who can get the most points in that month, and based on the scores those two get, I don't think they sleep. It genuinely concerns me. No one should have time to paint an entire board game's character set and work and everything else he does. Just terrifying.
He loves the achievements. He's a completionist though. Like I play a game. I finished Far Cry 5 last night, and I know that if...
So you've had that a week and it's done. Well done. 50 quid well spent.
Not the longest game, believe me. I really...
Story-based Far Cry's really aren't.
Yeah,
Stories aren't.
Really had I'll do this side mission so I don't do too much of this. By the time you get to the third area, it's gone like that because for some reason that area is just really quick. And then you've just got the end to do. But I know that if somebody looked at, on average, my games that I do actually finish, it'd be you've probably done 40-50% of the actual game. You didn't collect this, you didn't go there, you didn't. Whereas James Keep finishes a game
he plays for the achievements.
100%.
He's still stuck on Fallout 4. Two achievements. One, get 100% happiness in the settlements. He gets to 98% every time. He just can't. He's driving him mad. And the other one, he's just chipping away at it. It's like 10 million points or tickets in the Nuka-Cola one, and again, you only get like 20 tickets a time when you play these games. He's chipping away at it slowly.
I know that he said he was playing one of the Gears of War, and it was a case of he had to give up in the end because one of the achievements was like
it's an online co-op thing.
You had 1,000 hours or something, or 100 hours, and he was like, "I haven't got that much time."
Oh, I thought it was one of those. I can't remember what game it is. It's got a real dick move achievement in it, where the only way to do it is to basically let someone who is a much lower level than you kill you when you are at the top of the game. But they have the same achievement the other way around. You have to be the lowest possible level and kill someone. So you have to coordinate with someone online and be social.
I know he does a lot with his brother. I think him and his brother, because we were both playing Ghost Recon.
The Wildlands.
And we both very much enjoyed that. We've had long conversations about it. And I know that he was saying he got his brother to help him with a series of achievements because those achievements had to be completed with somebody online. Which, is one of those. I don't dabble in the online stuff.
I love the idea of online. I just hate the people. Yeah. I absolutely hate people.
I often
think worry about it sometimes.
If more of my friends played more of the stuff that that's sort of niche market. If more of my friends played more of the games that I was playing, I would play more online. But I have actually let both my online subscriptions lapse now, because I let the Xbox One go what could be a couple of years ago now, and then the PlayStation Plus. Because it always used to come up in March, just in time.
Yeah, I don't think the subscriptions are enough just so you can play online. Online should be open to everyone. The subscriptions should have some added benefit, which is not online. Online shouldn't be paid for, because I'm paying for it already with my internet subscription.
Yeah.
Your connection through my wires to someone else's wires shouldn't cost me anything other than what I'm already paying. Those subscriptions should purely be for what PlayStation Plus are doing, which is giving you a game or discount on their games.
I actually let my PlayStation Plus lapse this month, and then I got this email that was like, "Tell us why you haven't renewed your subscription." And I
titled it "Robbing Bastards."
I will happily do that, and I just wrote out, "You're charging more, you're giving less, and all you give as your free games is indie games that nobody was really bothered about."
I'm going to say.
I want proper games for my money. When it was the PS3, you got great games.
Or at least a decent discount on good games.
Now it's just, here's a game that you've never heard of, that you don't really care about, but please make sure you give us money every month. And I was like, I think it's time to let you go.
Especially when you consider things like Twitch are giving away monthly things, which are usually indie games. But, I think this month they gave away the first part of Devil May Cry HD collection. And let's face it, how many people love the original?
I am one of those
It may have the worst voice acting in the world, but fuck me, it was good.
Old school Capcom, they love a good bit of voice acting.
I was watching something the other day and I found out that Devil May Cry stemmed from Resident Evil.
Yeah.
I had no idea about that.
Yeah.
They just
literally off the back of
I love this idea, not for Resident Evil. Make something else for that plan.
Yeah.
Devil May Cry was born. Fucking brilliant. And it does explain how similar it really was.
As far as Resident Evil is concerned, voice acting does not come up anywhere near close to the original Resident Evil. Because any game that officially has the line, "You were almost a gibble sandwich," which,
Never really played the original.
Oh, it's amazing.
It was in that era where I didn't have a PlayStation at that point. I was an N64 kid.
Me and my mate Luke, we used to quote that line to each other many, many times in the mid-90s. So, game-wise,
yes.
Do you want to tell the lovely podcast people any purchases you've made recently? Any substantial purchases?
I may have impulsively bought a Nintendo Switch on the weekend. I did. Covering myself here by saying this, I have a burning need to play the Zelda games. I love them. I love the old ones. I love Twilight Princess. It's a great game, but I haven't played Breath of the Wild, and I just have such a burning need to do it. I may have run off and found myself an emulator, a working one, and got the Wii U version of it running, just so I could actually see, do I really want to buy this? Do I really want to play it? And running at 20 frames per second, about half the speed a game should ever be played at. It was surprisingly playable, and I fucking loved it. Absolutely enjoyed it. I just went, you know what? This deserves better. I'm buying a Switch. I bought Breath of the Wild. And just beautiful. I love the animation in that game. But yeah, so I'm going to lose the next month of my life to that, I imagine. I've run out of things to do at work. I'm going to take an hour break. What are you doing? Playing Zelda. Just going to sit there. Yeah, it's going to be fine.
I can't imagine you would ever run out of anything to do.
No, there's always stuff to do, but, I can lose the will to do it very easily.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure.
Very easily. So, yes, we caved into the Nintendo Switch. I've been mulling the plan of one since they came out, and I kept saying, no, I'm not going to do it. Nintendo hold too much monopoly on their games. It's been a year out, and Zelda is still £50. No game should be able to go out that long and be that price still.
Yeah,
and unfortunately, Nintendo, it could be 10 years down the line. Zelda, Breath of the Wild, £50.
Yeah.
Because who's going to compete with them?
Yeah, yet again.
No one else gets their games.
Nintendo have released a console which is the fastest selling console in history.
Yeah,
which they seem to do quite well.
The Wii was a massive success.
The Wii was huge.
It took such a readily available idea. I mean, let's face it, every console had done something with infrared and screen tracking before that. I mean, even the Sega Mega Drive had made good use of infrared on screens to shoot things, and yet they managed to make something that gave it fun. And I can never give it credit enough for the hardware or the games. And I think it is their games. Their games give credit to fun. That is the one thing that no other Xbox, PlayStation just can't compete with. You want big story, you want graphic, you want PlayStation, you want Xbox, you want PC. You want fun? Go to Nintendo every time.
Yeah, I mean...
Every game they make has fun.
Me and somebody I used to work with who used to say that if you want a party game, if you've got a party going on and you want a game, you're not putting the PlayStation or the Xbox on. You put in whatever that Nintendo console is. You want a party game.
Because let's face it,
Super Smash
GoldenEye,
Brothers.
great fun to play with.
Yeah.
Smash Brothers,
Yeah.
Brawl, party games that they did.
Mario Kart.
Oh, I really love the Rabbids. I might have to give into their Mario Rabbids crossover thing. Just because they're messed up little weirdos. Love them. But yeah, so I always give them credit. The Wii U was a good concept that they failed miserably on. They should have made
nothing with it.
They should have made a better looking Wii that could link to any tablet, as opposed to marketing their god awful tablet. Because theirs was cheap. It wasn't a conductive pressure screen. It was a retro bloody tablet screen. It was big, it was clunky, the control was uncomfortable, it was just a fail.
There is a Wii U in my house, and I was talking to somebody the other day about it.
So you were the guy who bought one?
I was the other person.
The other person, Sam was the second.
And I was talking to somebody the other day and I was saying, I don't actually know what that machine was bought for. I don't remember a game on it, I don't remember what.
I've mulled buying one in the past and I just thought, you know what, even I know that's a bad idea. So when they brought out the Switch, because even Sam said, "Oh no, it's just going to be like the Wii U is going to be a flop. They're not going to bring out enough games. It's not going to be good enough." And he has changed his tune so quickly. I was nailed at this time. They've made a brilliant little portable device.
They did a very intelligent thing, and they decided to release a load of top name games that had been out for a while. So Doom, Skyrim, things like that. They went, hey, it runs on the Switch.
Yeah, I think it's a good plan to some extent, but it does run on Switch. I don't want to play Skyrim again on the Switch.
No.
I'll be honest, I like playing Skyrim. I don't want to play it again.
No.
I've played it that many times on a PC in decent graphics. I don't need it in 720p on a handheld.
No.
But I would quite like to play Doom on it, because Doom as a game is great. I don't know what it'll look like on that.
Yeah, I was like...
It's a good, fun game to play over and over and over. It's a run gun, don't stop moving. Yeah, I can waste some time on that. So yeah, they have done a better job at making it more marketable, because it's a tablet. It works on tablet API systems. It makes it much more accessible, whereas the Wii U was not. Because it's their architecture and their tablet architecture. Way too complicated. You know what? We'll just ignore Nintendo for a while.
And the thing that I found really weird about that console was they didn't release anything for it.
I think their big seller at the beginning was the Zombie U.
The Zombie U was the one I remember.
That made a reasonably good idea. Here is the tablet system. That is your bag. If you want to go for your bag, you're going to have to look away from the screen. The game didn't pause, so you went for your bag. You had to keep looking at the screen to make sure nothing was coming at you. That was my base idea of it. And I think that would have been good. They just didn't make anything else very useful. I think there's a few games. One of their Mario ones came off your big screen and onto your little screen. That's all right. That's not a bad plan.
Like I said,
it made use of it.
I just don't really remember anything from that console. Yeah. It's weird.
My issue, loads of PC games have brought apps that work with the games. I mean, Fallout did it best, because your bag and your inventory could be on your mobile phone.
Yeah.
Great plan. And that's about the extent of use a tablet could be to a game. You play it on the screen, you can do little things on the... So it doesn't warrant marketing an entire tablet with the console, which will cost you stupid money to get a second controller of if you want multiplayer. No.
One of the weirdest things I ever experienced was Xbox Smart Glass. They told you it was going to be this thing.
Greatest thing to benefit every game they ever made for the rest of your days. Any tablet will do it.
I love stuff like that.
I think it's a great plan.
I bought into it and I got it and I put it on the iPad and I was sat there and I'm like, right, I've got the game on the TV, I've got the controller in my hand, I've got the iPad. this isn't. It doesn't really do anything. And yet another idea that just fell flat on its face because nobody really did anything with it.
So it was a good idea, and on paper these things are. Just the Wii U, they just didn't do enough to make it make actual sense.
I'm going to upset you and tell you that I don't like Zelda games.
Oh, I love them. I love them. I mean, it's the original open world in my head.
And this does go back to all the way back to like the original sort of Zelda games that I just couldn't get on with them. And then
I never played the original the 8-bits were all before me.
Yeah,
but Ocarina of Time sings in my head as just that game. I really loved the music of it, the actual story. I know it wasn't fantastic. It was early doors N64, which means all you got was some odd noises and text. But that has become such a meme thing.
Me and Leon have this thing that if she ever hears the song "Nothing Else Matters" by Metallica, she always thinks of that game and the music, the thing that he plays.
Ocarina of Time.
And if I ever hear like the music from Zelda, I always say, because she would sit and play that game whilst I was learning to play Nothing Else Matters on the guitar.
You see, mine is Devil May Cry and System of a Down's Toxicity. Because the whole time I played that game, I listened to that album, and now whenever I listen to one or play the other, I just get both of them in my head. I don't think I could actually play the first game anymore without listening to that at the same time. It just wouldn't sound right.
Good little combo.
It was great.
Yeah.
Just the right amount of angry. Without being ridiculous.
You bought a Switch.
Yes.
You know what my question is going to be.
Why? And why not the alternatives?
That is my question.
I've never given into PlayStation, Xbox purely because load times for lesser graphics. I'm a PC gamer at heart. I always use my gaming rig for most gaming, and you get better graphics from a PC. You get better load times from a PC. The Witcher 3 is still one of my favourite games. And if you play that on a PC, your load times are pretty good. You don't have to wait long for anything. Fast travel, going in and out of buildings, if it requires a load screen, doesn't take long. But as I understood it, when it finally came out on PS4 and Xbox, the load time between places was quite ridiculous at first. I think they've probably ironed it out with a patch or two since.
Yeah.
But to make it to have it running and looking good and loading quickly, no, that's not how this is going to work, and it didn't go well for Xbox and PS.
You do have to sacrifice
it's the catch.
things.
There is a benefit to PlayStation and Xboxes. It brings gaming to everyone. It makes it more affordable in a general scheme of things. Mm-hmm. But PC just delivers a much better quality. And let's face it, majority of games that come out on PlayStation usually turn up on PC. And the same for Xbox, with the exception of exclusives. I do regret I will never be able to play that Horizon
Zero Dawn.
Yeah, because that looked stunning.
It's a beautiful
really
game.
Pretty game.
As always, get yourself around to mine and I'll let you play my copy of it.
You see, one day I will. It seems like there's a few exclusives that I do have to look at and think, God, it's enough to make me want to buy one. It's just not enough because I'd end up with consoles everywhere. I'd still have a PlayStation. I do have a PlayStation 3 somewhere in Rasco. I have a Wii in Rasco somewhere. I don't play on them, so I get them to my sister and she uses them for this and that. But I don't really sell these things. I tend to keep hold of them and end up with them clustering the place. I've probably still got an N64 lying around somewhere.
That's not clutter, that's...
It's collectible. It's collectible. I've got a ZX Spectrum. I own a ZX Spectrum. It's in the attic in Rasco. There is no way in hell I'm ever going to play it. I'm not waiting.
I think it's that thing that you struggle to connect it to anything these days. There was a conversation when we were talking about playing the original... Leads. Yeah.
Tuning on these tellies is doable. Fucking nigh impossible.
Yeah.
You end up having to do it manually, and if you press the button too hard or just a little bit too long, it goes into auto and skips right past it. So no, back.
Rob Rafton offered out the PlayStation 1 for last Friday as an option, and then went, although we'd really struggle to connect it to a TV.
Yeah.
And you don't think about these things until you go...
Well, oddly enough, actually, you can get leads for the Americans took away from aerial jacks for these things, and they actually use NTSC more effectively than we did. We were all about PAL, which required an aerial lead, but some of the American models and things came back. You can get hold of the cables, so you can make them more connective.
You used to be able to get a SCART adapter.
Yeah.
So you could plug it into the SCART adapter and then plug it into the SCART socket. And
now, obviously, you'd need an HDMI component lead splitter to go to the SCART, to go to the PAL.
I'm sure it'd look amazing.
God, it would look like some deformed cousin. Hi, kids, you see this single lead that you're so used to? This is what we had to use.
Mm-hmm.
Look at it. But yeah, I will never give in to the PlayStations and the Xboxes just because I don't see the benefit of those. Nintendo, as I said, they've got a monopoly. I can't realistically get some of the joy I can get from that little device in the corner there because they're the only people who do those games.
But we're just about to get a new God of War.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure that'll be PlayStation exclusive for a while, but it won't be forever.
I mean, do you PC gamers get like the God of War stuff?
No, we didn't get the last two. I do think that, if I'm not mistaken, there is an HD collection of them somewhere which you can get, but I don't know if it's on PC.
God of War 3 was
However,
just
I think they've accepted the fate of, yes, these are exclusives. What I think PlayStations are pushing towards is, alright, we'll keep them for a while, then we'll push them out.
Yeah.
Then we'll let the world have them. We'll give it to our guys first, but then we'll open the doors a bit, because God of War was a great game. The story was fantastic. The first one was a little lacking, and let's face it, Ares with spider legs, probably the worst imitation of a god I've ever seen. And then beating him because I opened Pandora's box. Spoilers, just in case anyone hasn't played it and is going to. And if you haven't played it and are going to, what the hell's wrong with you? You waited way too long. But yeah, here is a box that was supposed to destroy Eden, and what it actually did was made you greater. Okay, well, there's a massive gap in your story. That's meant to be filled with evil.
One of the things,
it's filled with greatness.
Yeah, one of the things that I love about the third one is that they bring it back round to Pandora's box and the things that were actually hiding in Pandora's box and what they actually released.
I really liked as you played it and as you killed each of them. So when you killed Poseidon and how the rivers, you unleashed everything about him, which is basically his control of the ocean. Oh dear.
Yeah.
And then when you finally kill them all and things, and it levels the playing field. It's like, I really love it. It's such a beautiful concept. They did a really good story with that, and the Titans were great. They visually they were a really good design. And as I say, there's not enough games do it now. So yeah, PlayStation bringing out their prequel. Not quite sure how it'll go. I felt the same about their. They did the PSP one, didn't they?
Yes, they did. I just want to know how they have jumped mythology. Because we've gone from Greek to.
I'm wondering whether this is their Hachette redoing it, basically. So maybe it isn't a prequel to Kratos that we know, and maybe it's going to be a whole new Kratos measured against a different set of gods and a different set of God of War. Or are they going to play on the idea that this is still the same Kratos, but here's a different angle of it, blending both Greek and Norse mythology together? Because let's face it, a lot of games have taken concept of God, blended it in with a bit of Egyptian, and then chucked in a little, here's a smidge of Norse and this to make their own interpretation of things, and that could work very well. I'll happily watch hours of gameplay of other people playing just to see the storyline. If I can't play it, I will follow it.
Yeah, it's a good story.
It's one of those things that would make a very good film if they do it right. Because unfortunately, there is hours of gameplay to be accounted for in each one of them. You couldn't. It's going to be a case of the first one would have to be 3 films. The second one would have to be 3 films. And yeah, they'll milk it for everything they can.
I think it's always going to be that thing that when you've played a game for so long and you've played a game so much, if at any point anybody goes, oh, they're going to make a film of this, if it then turns into, well, who are they going to cast? Who would they cast as Kratos? And
so I can see Vin Diesel looking like a good Kratos because he's got the muscular build, but he's starting to age that right amount. Just pale him up a little, give him a beard. I could see him making a good one. I think I don't think his personality and his actual mannerisms going to sell it.
Because whoever it is, you are going to have to
They've got to be gruff. They'd have to be really. The Rock. Just for the irony of painting him white.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not even sure where he sits in the spectrum of colour, if I'm perfectly honest. I'm pretty sure his Family Guy did this before me, just a heads up. But what is he for that matter? I mean, he's not white, but he's not black. I mean, where does he sit in the spectrum of race? I mean, and then there's Jessica Alba. Where does she fit in that? I mean, yeah, Family Guy nailed it with that one. Where do these people fit? I think casting them as these characters, so if ever they do a Nier Automata film, we'll hire her and paint her white. Problem is solved. We'll be really, really diverse about this. I mean, it's that or go completely other scale of it. Let's get that Chris Hart, is it? Little stocky, speaks quick, he is black. We could paint him white for a film, just for entertainment.
Oh, Kevin Hart.
Kevin Hart,
yeah.
Not Chris Hart. Kevin Hart. Who was that wonderful White Chicks? Don't know if you've seen it. Just the right amount of oof.
Well, I'm sure Vin Diesel was in a film where he was white. I'm sure he played a lawyer, and it took me ages to work out who he actually was.
Just see. Yeah, I've not seen it. No, just I bet.
So.
I'm sorry, I'm going to explain that pause. I'm literally the laziest person here. I'm going to text my missus, who's downstairs, asking her nicely if she would possibly top up mine and Andy's coffee and bring them up. But I was trying to be subtle about it, so I wrote it on my screen and showed it to him. And then he didn't realise it was the text bit I was reading, so he was trying to read the whole of my history as if it was relevant. I was like, no, don't. Not
why are you showing me a message that says hi?
Why not?
So I was going to relay something back that my excitement telling you this morning how I didn't have to phone you over the weekend and how excited I was about it. But it did lead me to a question, and it's a question that so I have like 2 computer people in my life. You're one of them.
Your other friend is the IT one with the web knowledge, isn't it?
The other one is my mate Pete, who I did a podcast with sort of a week ago today.
Is he the one who pushed me back 3 days?
No,
it's all right then.
It's my fault, but it's Leanne that's pushed you back.
Dead to me.
Yeah. Only because I can't number things properly.
I don't care if she's got a cute kitten on the recording. She's dead to me.
Yeah. So I asked him the same question I'm going to ask you. So I'm writing a piece of code, and now they're shouting.
Yeah, it's fine. She'll walk up and figure it out in a second.
It's not just messages, it's now shouting. She's shouting at you.
It is. I'm just going to text her. Ah, she's walked in.
You can't text her now.
She can't talk. She's not allowed. She's just peering around the corner.
Hi.
There's one there.
Any yours on the table?
Mine's downstairs. Thank you.
How'd you take it?
Well,
black at the moment. Apparently, it's a new thing for me. I'm jumping ahead as well because that's on my list of things to talk about. I've had a strange experience that I need to talk to you about. But I'll get there shortly. So
that code.
I spoke to my mate Pete, and I think we did it on the podcast, which will come up in a few weeks at this rate. So I'm trying to write a piece of code, and I'm determined not to phone anybody.
No 50-50, no phone a friend.
Well, I basically, on the podcast I did with my mate Pete, I swore that I would, in future, Google things before asking him. So I was like, right, okay. So I Googled the question. Mm-hmm. So here's my question to you. You're a self-taught, what do you refer to yourself as? A coder,
pillock.
An emulator?
I am a self-taught pillock.
An emulator, coder, IT support.
The term I've started using around work is developer, purely because that is what I'm doing for them. But outside of work, I do generally just use the term pillock. I will learn anything. When it comes to this stuff, I tell people I code in my free time. I write software when I'm bored, but I don't know if that makes me a developer. Or
I think it probably does.
Or a software developer or anything. It just means I'm stupid enough to have a crack at it. So I'm going to stick with self-taught pillar.
So you're self-taught, and I have a question for you. Let's say you know what you want to do. Mm-hmm. Let's say that you Google it because you know what you want to do. So you say, I want to do this, tappy on the Google. you get an answer that is usually, I don't know if I can say names, but I'm going to, like, is it the MSDN? Is it a common
So the
one?
MSDN's Microsoft's own, and it's public access. That is their database network.
It's not an advert, it's just...
It is the greatest repository for anything, say, Visual Basic and C# within the default language itself. There are bigger libraries and repositories outside of them, but for the fundamentals, MSDN is a great place. It lists out exactly what you want, where it is, and then talks through the methods, talks through the properties, talks through everything you can do with that little piece, and then goes further to say all the little bits you can do with the bits of the bits.
Yep.
It's a great source.
It is, and it will generally...
Point you in the right
8
direction.
times out of 10 give you the right answer.
Yeah, or point you in the right direction at least.
So here's my problem. What do you do when you've got your answer and you kind of know that it's telling you the answer, but you don't understand any of the words it's telling you? Because I asked my mate Pete and I said, do you essentially then just Google each individual word to then get a description of those words?
It depends on the answer. It
What
really
does this mean?
So you'll stumble across an answer or two here and there, which basically talk through things you're fully aware of and hadn't thought to use them that way, such as you can use the file system object to root through and dig out file names, and then their subfolders, and then root through. And you sort of read what it's explaining, and then read it and goes, it makes perfect sense, I'm happy. And then you come across things that talk about, say, COM objects, and things that just make no sense, and the IntelliSense that you might be privileged and joyed with from Visual Studio is no help to, because you've set it up as a blind object. And then it's a case of you kind of have to read and understand exactly what the hell it's talking about as best you can.
And here's the problem. So, as words, I understand every single word you just said as an individual word. Put them into that sentence, and I'm like, no.
Yeah, so to understand better what COM objects are, that's where you would Google, okay, Visual Basic COM objects explained. And that is exactly what I would write. I would write VB COM objects explained. And someone somewhere will have gone, what the hell is a COM object? And a forum will have kindly pulled together, one to mock him, because that's what a forum loves to do, followed by helping. We start with the mocking, that's usually the way. Someone's probably picked up on his grammar because he's probably spelled VB with a lowercase b and someone's having a shout at him. You know how it is.
So you basically mean me then?
Anyone. Me in general, because a lot of the questions I would ask, someone has beaten me to that. Someone's always asked first. And if you are lucky enough to be the first, get ready for some abuse. The forums and the internet love to abuse.
I'm prepared to take the abuse if it means I get the answer. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Coffee delivery.
Yeah, just so you know, that is the voice of the coffee lady.
Coffee delivery, which, quite frankly...
Best looking coffee lady we've got.
Right now, I'm just realising, hole in the market, coffee delivery. Hey, hang on a minute, I shouldn't be recording this.
I'm pretty sure Costa's planned that. They've started doing their drive-thrus, for Christ's sake. It's going to be
delivery.
Burger King started delivering. Costa will be next.
Burger King started delivering?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
It's like...
I would say Kentucky Fried Chicken, but they can't
it's
actually...
bordering the price of a bloody burger to actually deliver it to you.
No, screw them.
So you'd have to make it worthwhile by, ordering a lot. But yeah, they do it.
Me and Leon went to Burger King one time. I think it was not long after she learned to drive, so this will be a few years ago. And to make it worthwhile, we went through the drive-thru twice. And then I think I went in as well.
Yeah, no.
I think we had about 50 quid worth of food, which wasn't as much food as you'd think. It was a bit terrifying. It was like, we've got 2 burgers each and some fries and a couple of drinks.
Yeah, my personal record was with Rory, God rest her soul, old friend of ours. We did all 3, one sitting. Oh, large meal in each and puddings. Oh, it could have killed most people.
I was talking at work the other day, and I was saying, I think the way he works it is that generally he doesn't eat all week, and then he reaches a point where he has to eat his entire calorie intake for the entire week in one sitting, and all the way down the row where we sit, somebody just went, talking about Ed? And I was like, yes, I am. Yeah, because we worked out that you were going to McDonald's and you were going to eat that week's calorie intake in that meal.
It was only a large big tasty and a large £1/4 pounder meal.
There we go.
And then there was buyer's remorse because I didn't get spare burgers. It's fine.
There we go. So you were hungry at the end of it, you mean?
Yep. Could have still eaten. It's a curse and a blessing. But yeah, we've tangented, juxtaposed to our original proposition.
So yeah,
code,
basically,
the
issue.
question I think fits more: how far do you need to understand it? Sometimes,
Yes.
a lot of the time, you will find a thing, or you'll need to do a thing that actually you only ever need to do once. Other times, you'll find something that's unbelievably useful. So you really do want to get a better understanding of it because you can reuse it.
Yeah.
Or you can do what a lot of people would do, which is create your own directory of useful bits. So I've used this before, it worked, so I'm going to keep that, but I'm never going to write it again because I've made a function that'll do it for me.
Yeah, I mean,
and that's fine.
The way I build code is by stealing it from other places.
I hate to say it, that's how everybody built code.
That's how
Someone
I do it.
somewhere created a system that said, okay, in this scenario I put a 1, and in this scenario I put a 0. And from that stemmed binary. And from binary stemmed base languages of all of these, and everything derived from the source. At some stage, everybody has copied everybody's. There is no original code, realistically.
I mean, I just mean, like, I opened one of the things that you've built previously and gone, where did Ed put something that I could use?
But that
looks like something that I need.
And that is the point. You can it's not about whether you write it yourself, it's about how you utilise it. A lot of code is ripped from somewhere. I mean, for anyone who works with Excel but starts dabbling in file systems, Excel and VB doesn't have a native file navigation system. And what you do is you call on a language that it can reference through VB, which is the scripting file system object, and you do it through objects. But the problem is you don't get any help with that. You kind of have to learn it. You kind of have to be familiar with it. And it's just one of those things. If you know you're going to use it again, it's worth getting an understanding of how does it work at least, because that gives you a vague idea of what direction you can go. So I'm working with files and I'm working with folders, which means I probably, once I've got hold of them, I've got a property for name, I've got a property for where it is, I've got a property for size, because I understand what it's doing. It's when you hit into the weirder and wonderful COM objects. I mean, there's a wonderful piece of code you can use to unlock certain Excel sheets and things if ever you needed to. And reading through it won't make a mass amount of sense until a lot of people, they don't need to know what that call upon this place and that particular object is. All you need to vaguely understand is what that's doing is it's adjusting the DLL files of your system to read a 1 instead of a 0. That is all it does.
So it's Rick bringing down the government.
Pretty much, yeah.
Change of 1.
It is exactly that, because that's all it needs to do. Most systems return an answer, a true or a false, a 1 or a 0, when something is right and when something is wrong. And that is the same with Excel's passwords. There is actually a piece of code you can trigger through Excel to trick it into returning a 1 every time. You don't need to know how to go off and dig out a DLL file and rewrite it. You just need to know that piece of code did exactly what you needed. If you want to suddenly start playing around with the settings of Excel and how it functions, so being able to limit a person's ability to save and limit their ability to close it without following your default routes, then yeah, you might then have to Google the actual DLL file and how that interfaces. Yeah. And your best way is to look at the pieces in that actual string and that setup that you've just ripped off the internet and just used, and actually look into, okay, I need to understand specifically what that command does. Yeah. Why does that work? How does this create object function in that way? And it might just be that it ties into a bigger piece of Visual Basic that Excel doesn't natively support, but is part of the standard compiler and standard repository of VB. And that's most COM objects are. You can reference, so, I mean, the entirety of Word, Outlook, Excel can be referenced through each other, just not through the standard route.
As we do.
But you call on the object itself, and that object holds those properties. And those properties are what you learn about. Going further than there, you then look into the system itself, and it's just figure out how much do you really need to know, how much don't you. If you know you're going to need it again, I'd recommend anyone just understand it. You don't have to learn it word for word. As long as you understand
vague understanding,
you can get it back.
Yeah.
And it's the hardest part of figuring these out is, what do I search? Search the actual question and find something that works for you. If you understand it, when you need it back again, it's damn sight easier to search. Because then you go, oh, I'm adjusting the DLL file in Excel to return a 0. VB.NET, Excel, DLL file manipulation. Yeah. There you go. You'll find more code to do with it.
So, like what my mate Pete came back with was him saying, "Look, basically, Google it first, Find the bits that you understand, then highlight the bits you don't understand, and those are the bits where you ask the question, what does this word mean in this sentence? Which I said to him that I was more than happy with. And it was that thing. It was a thing that I spent 2 hours writing something that would have taken you about 8 seconds, I imagine, to write. Because it was, all it boiled down to was one line that I couldn't get. But the satisfaction of not picking the phone up and ringing you and going, hey, can you answer me a question? I'm going to send you a picture. Can you tell me what's wrong with this line?
It makes you feel like you're doing it right when you finally figure it out, and it's really good. Paging
through it going, did it work? Did it work? No. But it did do something. So I need to know why it didn't do it. Oh, I've told it to look for blank in a space where it will always find blank. Okay? So go back and change the length. And then that moment where you page through it and you go, oh, did it work? Yes, it did. Yeah. And you page through it again and it worked. And it worked.
That simple fact.
And you start removing the brakes until you can eventually press play and it just starts running.
It's just remember that Google is your friend. Google is the ultimate friend. Alright, yes, he will chuck up a lot of crap at you at the same time. It's not...
I know the answer's there, but I think my problem is I'm not intelligent enough to understand the answer.
You're getting better, obviously, though. You're finding them yourself, and that's the point. It's finding the excuse.
I cheated in the end.
How did you cheat?
I had this...
You rang your friend, didn't you?
No,
your other friend.
No.
You cheated on him and me.
Didn't ring anybody.
Oh, good.
I did it all myself by going to another piece of code and looking at that piece of code because I knew that somewhere it had...
That doesn't matter. That's
somewhere there had to be a line that did it. And I was trying to make... And when I do it, when I start, I just make this long... I found one of my old lines that I coded out that I actually wrote, need to check this with Ed to see if this is even a thing, because I was like, I don't know. And it was very much like that. This line just got longer and longer and longer and longer because... One of the issues I have with, especially like the VBA coding, is the error message. And the error message
Object does not support property and things like that. It doesn't mean much to you.
Error message doesn't mean anything. Yeah. So I find that I Google the error message and it just gives me this long explanation that at the end of I go, yeah, but what does it mean? Yeah. And it's asking for, it's like, need a separator. Right?
What's that?
Which one? So I'll put like a closed bracket. And at one point I had like 6 brackets and it's still, I was like, maybe it needs another bracket.
Yeah, separator expected and end statement expected and things.
Let's try a comma. So I put a comma in and then I found a bit that was like greater than 0 then, and I was like, okay, we'll try that. And then it was the really long line that still didn't work. And in the end I went, well, fuck you. And I just removed everything, went all the way back to basics, found this little line in this other piece of code that basically said that would work. And I was like, it can't be that simple. Put it in and it works. And I was like, it is that simple. Fuck!
Yeah. There's no difference between looking at old code and looking at Google. When you Google it, you'll find a forum. That forum will talk you through it and show you a piece of code that does it. When you look at an old piece of code, the difference is you're reading it, spotting it, and understanding it enough to go, that's the bit I need. It's actually a better method.
I could see it all playing out because it was the point when Leanne suddenly jumped up and left the room that I knew things were getting bad. I knew that I was reaching a point that because I'm doing the fuck you Google, fuck you very much because you're not telling me that. And Leanne left the room at that point and I was like, okay. And then later, I was coming out of the living room with the laptop like this, and she was coming the other way. And she was like, oh, you managed to... I was like, look, it works, and it's doing it now. And she was like, yeah, you broke your brain a little bit there, didn't you? I was like, yeah, I feel a little drained. I was proper drained.
I really like it when the obvious answer kicks me in the face sometimes. It makes me laugh. It really does.
It just makes me feel more stupid than I already felt.
A while back, I made a small gallery program just because I could. It looked terrible. But it did exactly what I wanted it to, which was it gave me a list of files, I picked it, and then it showed the pictures. Great, and then I picked the picture, and it showed that picture big. The problem was, after about 4 clicks of a file, my system ran out of RAM. And I couldn't, and I was started going, why is it running out of RAM? And it just, when I finally actually Googled around and looked into the explanation, it's because I was storing every single one of these things I clicked or looked at. I wasn't referencing them as a small picture thumbnail. I was referencing the whole picture.
Oh, nice.
So I was putting images of an entire picture on every single folder And then I was opening that folder and putting full-size pictures into the thumbnails, which meant I'd opened 500 full-size pictures just by clicking on a folder, and then opened another 300 by clicking into that folder, and then I opened it just for the Audacity and opened it twice. Yeah. And I just never dawned on me that I was retaining that. And it's just like, that should have been obvious to me. That should have been so bloody obvious, because I spent my life with this crap.
But it's not obvious until you know, until you've done it, or until you've made the mistake. You can't help but
laugh at yourself, and it is genuinely funny in the worst kind of way.
There wasn't a lot of laughter in my house at that point in time.
When you figured it out, I bet you smiled.
Yeah.
No matter how daft you felt for not getting it straight away, you're like, yes, I did it. I can't believe I was so stupid.
I do think I did break my brain a little, because,
I'm going to actually put to the specific, what line were you actually trying to write? What were you actually trying to make it do?
I wanted to return the answer from a specific point on the system. So I was like, I need it to be an in string, I need it to be a get string, I need it to be a trim, I need it to be... So I need this much space till I get the whole thing. It was like the first line of an address.
Yeah, so we're just trying to actually return this position to this length, but shorten it down.
Yeah, so I was like, I want a get string, but I only want this much of it, and it needs to be an in string. And in the end, I took away all the trim, the in string, and everything, turned it into a get string, and it did it for me.
Yeah,
and
you just... You've got two choices. Take that full length and just accept it, or you can trim that full length and that'll take the short version. You only need the in-string stuff if you're testing it in Excel, because Excel doesn't natively have a does this contain option. Yeah. Using an in-string is just a cheating method, but it works.
And I at one point I had a comma, but it should have been equals.
You make it sound as if that was just a given bit of knowledge. It took me ages to finally figure out I can use in-string instead of all of this. Is this exactly that? I could actually just test the whole length and whether that exists in it. Good God. When it finally dawned on me that was a plan, I've made much better weight systems just by saying do this if that exists anywhere.
I couldn't get the in-string to work in the end, so I basically cheated and just went, take that entire line, take the whole 23 spaces, because chances are 8-10 spaces of it's going to be blank anyway.
So anyone who's listening to this and actually taking on the code stuff, the get string is a specific function of a piece of code we use within work, so there's not particularly any relevance to you, but an in string is specific to Excel as a function to determine if a string is contained within a longer string, and it returns to you literally the position it starts at. So if it's 10 characters in, it would return 10. If it's the first character, it would return 1. So the easy method on that is if in-string contains X within Y is greater than 0, then it exists. And it's a cheating way to use, does this string contain something?
The one that always used to get me was when you put a length of something and the length would be wrong. Yeah. But it wouldn't return the answer. I'd be like, well, I don't understand. Oh, I've told it to go here and it get there and it says it's blank and I don't understand it. And I'd be like,
because the length of this within itself is too long.
And it'd be 7. Yeah. So it'd go, well, it isn't 6, it's 7, so fuck you. I'm going to put nothing there. Yeah. I don't understand.
Test the length of this against something that's bigger than it, because those two numbers don't add up.
So there you go. What did you think to that? Another sit down with Ed, part 1 of a sit down with Ed. What do you think? A little bit too technical at the end? Don't know. Like I say, I find it interesting, but it's something that I do. Me and Ed sort of do together. Ed taught me all that sort of stuff, and although it's very complicated and can be a little bit intense, it's certainly quite interesting. Tune in for part 2 of my chat with Ed. Hit us up on our website, thecookiecast.com. Go there, send us a message, tell us what you like, what you don't like, what you want to see more of, what you want to see less of. But then after that, tune into our part 2 of my conversation with Ed Dench. Until then, bye-bye.